I was studying psychology at McMaster, and I got to the end of my degree, but about my third year, a good friend of mine, when I was there, I was doing a lot of writing. I'd write for the Silhouette, I'd write a lot of short stories, did a lot of comic strips, all through, I was just into that, and drawing and writing. And my friend, a close friend of mine, asked me, so, well, what are your plans? And I said, well, I guess I'll go for my PhD and become a psychologist. Is that really what you want to do? And then I had to stop thinking, I don't know. He goes, well, all you ever do is write and want to make movies, and you're out there with your camera, and there's something else that you want to do, isn't there? And that made me question things. I thought, okay, I clearly have a very creative soul, so maybe I'll just go that direction. And so when I left McMaster, I was working at the HPH across the street from here, and would just apply and call until I got my first job, which was the lowest of the low job at a company called Nelvana. I was what they call a production assistant, which can include everything from doing shipping and receiving, to doing deliveries, to wiping up toilet spills, to anything. I was the guy who did anything, and I was willing to do anything at a very, very low wage. And being at the bottom of the company is actually a good thing, because you're not a threat to anybody. So I got to learn a lot. Animators trained me how to animate, for example. I learned how to use an animation camera, which is now an extinct item. But I learned a lot about production, and then I learned about writing, because the writing department was there, and I would keep submitting ideas until I would get something. Among other things, Care Bears was one of the series they were producing at Nelvana. And I would submit stories from My Pet Monster, and they did them. They would take the stories, and they actually went ahead and produced them. And then finally they decided to give me some Care Bear scripts. And those were my first produced scripts, and like full scripts, and they were pretty good. And then I got eventually on staff as a staff writer, and I was writing on Babar and Tintin and what else, Beetlejuice and whatever else they had going, right? They've all got their charm, for sure. As a producer, I enjoy being able to facilitate the creativity of others, right? And while having a certain amount of creative vision put into it. So that is a wonderful thing to be able to do. I think it takes time. I think you need to have some miles behind you before you take on that position, because I know it was a bit of a shock, especially when I leaped from just being a producer to an executive producer. It was a bit shocking, especially in the USA, because down here we're a bit laid back. Up here, I mean, we're laid back. Down there, it's like an army. Like, you walk into a room, everybody stops talking. Yes, sir. What do you want, sir? It's crazy. And I wasn't used to that, right? I was basically a hippie until I was in my 40s. But let's see. But then writing is an opportunity to get fully immersed into a creative project. In a way that is, you are shaping everything, but under other people's direction, and you're facilitating in a different way. Performing, you get to embody something, embody a character, and that is a completely different experience. And every one of those things are fantastic. If you have a creative soul, anything you do is just a channel for that, for your expression. Greatest job ever. That's what that was like. It was basically, I got 20 minutes of live air time a day to ad lib. We'd have. I'd have to just mention, there's a pizza night it's kids' night at Pizza Hut, and then the rest of it is cracking jokes with my buddy Phil. And we had an audience of 2 million people a day. It was incredible. It was believe it or not, it was The Zone was the most watched time block in cable television. We were #1 at that time in the 90s. And so it was really pretty spectacular. And it was the work I did with that, plus creating Brainwash and a few other things, that got me down to LA, and they got hired at Fox as executive producer, along with fellow YTV producer Kim Soltarski. It was pretty amazing. I've always loved the X-Men, and I always loved Wolverine, and I was a big comic book fan. Not in the way that that the the very severe geeks are, but I became that because out of necessity, professional necessity, I had to convert to geekdom, and but what happened is that my friend Eric Rollman, who was he was the president of Fox Productions. He was a friend of mine. He was my boss, and then he went to Marvel. He became executive VP at Marvel, and then later to be president of Marvel Animation. So basically, I hooked up. I was VP at Toons, and I hooked him up with our investors and said, we want to invest in a Marvel property, and we will produce it. We'll pay for it, and you guys get the profits, and it's all nice. And Eric is a tough negotiator, and we got it. And it was an incredible series. We got to work with some of the most amazing people. At first, they were a little resistant because I was well known as a comedy writer, and Craig Kyle, who was an executive at the time in the television area, and now he's in feature film. But he was like this when he first met me. But then I very soon proved myself and showed him my sincerity. I wrote a few things for Wolverine to show them what we're thinking about in terms of concept, and he finally said, "Okay, you get it. It's fine. Okay, you're in." I got into the boys' club. And now Craig Kyle is writing all the Thor movies. He's producing actually a lot of the Thor movies. You see, he's involved with Avengers as well and stuff. Greg Johnson was a writer I worked with, a wonderful writer, and I worked with him on Transformers as well. The Marvel experience was pretty spectacular, to be honest. And I got an opportunity to help Indian animators train with Los Angeles animators and bring them up the value chain. I was part of the whole thing that helped turn Indian animation into, ooh, it's awful, to, hey, they're like one of the best in the world now, right? So I feel proud of that. It was amazing. It was weird because, it's 500 people there, and they're all bowing and calling me sir, and I'm trying to get them to, hey, relax, I'm just a dude, right? But what was cool about it is that I definitely elevated, in terms of my status in the industry. With or without the title, you can tell that you're treated differently because, partly because our company was investing in properties while doing service work. So I had authority over millions of dollars going in or not going into productions. So I was taking pitches instead of pitching other people. I was traveling all the time. I was doing co-productions in, I was working in Seoul, Korea, doing a co-production there. I did a co-production in Singapore, doing voiceover work there. What else? Japan, spent some time in Tokyo, which was fantastic. And all because of this executive status. I got to really work all over the place. I did some work in England. So we were based in India, but it sent me everywhere. And then, of course, went to cons twice a year for the TV festival, and went to NatP in Vegas, and all these things. So it was really fun, and a lot of traveling, and a new experience for my family living in India as well. So it was pretty spectacular. It was difficult, because when I first came back to Canada, I was still consulting for Toons, right? But I need to reestablish myself here. In Canada, it's a bit cliquey here, right? It doesn't matter what your credits are. It doesn't matter if you were the king of the world in another country. It's like, well, have you done anything for the CBC, or have you ever worked or have any connection to Corner Gas? It's like, no. Sorry, I can't hire you. You got to be connected with Corner Gas. So what happened is that I had to be independent. Right? I was up for a couple of major jobs, and then they hired people with less experience instead of me. Right? I'd be coming in second, and they were very. One of them was really E1 was very apologetic. Goes, really, I wanted you, the main guy. Goes, but we took the other person because she's got an in with Family Channel, that kind of thing. It's like, okay, well, fine. Unfortunately, anyway, I won't get into it. But what I did is I realized I have to be independent. So Rao, it's been around since '97, but it shuts down and wakes up, when I need it, right? So Rao became more. It became my main income, and so it was a vehicle for freelance writing and for freelance producing. For example, I did I started an audio dubbing company, made a deal with a studio in Toronto, and had deals with all these voiceover artists, mostly buddies from YTV. And we did a movie called Gaturo, which was a Spanish language Argentinian film. I actually was a script doctor on that film, and then said, I'll do your English, I'll do the rewrite your English translation, and I will produce your voice track. So I did that, and then they loved it, and they said, what about music? Can you do music? Sure, I can. So I got, of course, Canada is loaded with great musicians and great vocalists, and I tapped them from York University and redid their soundtrack, and they were really happy with it, and it was fun, good fun work, and that kind of stuff. And then I worked on a variety of stuff. I just had to get myself out there. I had to do a lot of traveling, but this time, instead of the company paying for it, I had to find the money by myself. Go to Comic-Con, go to Cannes, go to the frequent trips to LA. I was every time, because it was harder to get work here, I had to fly down to Los Angeles every 6 weeks to get some more work, right? Usually, and Americans were always willing to hire me for something. At one point, I was even up for a job to be creative director at Disney Channel. But a close friend of mine warned me not to take it, and instead I took a job with Animal Planet for a while. But then, you know how this business works. All the people that hire you end up getting fired, so then I gotta leave too, right? So, and that would have happened at Disney Channel. That's why they said don't do it, because there's a coup in the works, and you're gonna get caught up in it. Well, my dear friend Karen Young, who was a producer at YTV, after a few years I'd been here, I thought, whatever happened to her? And we finally connected and talked on the phone. I said, hey, I wanted to have her come over for dinner, and so we had her and her husband come over and chatted and catching up and hearing about her. She was the academic coordinator at the Humber College program. And I had done some teaching in India, and I did enjoy it. And I helped found Toons Academy. That's what hanging on the wall there. That was a gift. Toons Academy was an animation school because we needed to get the training up in India. And so I thought it would be great. I'd love to teach college kids, right, who are focused, who know what they want and stuff. So she said, "Are you serious? Would you really want to teach?" And I said, "Yeah." So she gave me a 1 semester gig teaching script writing at Humber, and I said, I want more. So she gave me another semester, and I really loved it, and I said, I'm staying. And then this job came up at Mohawk. I thought, well, I'll apply. Maybe I can get some more teaching. And then they said, no, we want you full time. Okay. And in all honesty, I really like it. It's because I don't think you can't, no matter how many years of experience you have, you can't truly know something until you teach somebody else it, and in my experience, the people who I consider to be truly mediocre are the ones who are not willing to help others be successful. If you are truly good at what you do, you should be more than willing to help others be successful, because no one is a threat to somebody who's truly good at what they do.